Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to worship this morning. We're Joyful Noise, and we're going to make some everybody on the same tempo. One. Don't do just straight notes to get us going in the groove. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's better. 1, 2. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, 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 every day. Gonna let my little light shine. Feel free to sing along to clap and join in with the band. It's a participatory worship, so I'd like to see you on your feet having some fun. I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, 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 every day. Gonna let my little light shine. John. Gift of love. Tuesday. Gifts from up above. Wednesday. Told me to have some faith. Thursday. Gave me a little praise. Friday. Told me to watch and pray. Saturday. Told me what to say. Sunday. Gave me the power to fight. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, 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 every day. Gonna let my little light shine. Hopefully that'll wake everybody up. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind. It was stayed on freedom. Yes, I woke up this morning with my mind. It was stayed on freedom. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind. It was stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 All right. If we could ask you to rise for this last song, put your hands together, get into the spirit of worship this morning. Put your hand together, feel the music, be part of the band. Here we go. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind, it was set on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, it was set on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind, it was set on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Well, I'm walking and talking with my mind. It was set on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. It was set on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. It was set on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Play it for us, Renee. Well, I'm singing and praying with my mind. It was set on freedom. Singing and praying with my mind. It was set on freedom. Singing and praying with my mind. It was set on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Yeah. Welcome to church this morning, everybody. Hopefully you have a joyful and noisy day.
Good morning, everyone here in the sanctuary and on Zoom. We are glad you are here. As part of our anti-racism and anti-colonialism work, encountering the racial oppression and ongoing erasure of Native Americans, we begin our time together with a land acknowledgement. We have used excerpts from Chabot College's land acknowledgement to help create our own. We acknowledge the land and the peoples who belong to this land, the Muwekma Ohlone peoples. Our church, institutions, and homes are occupying their lands, ancestral and current. We acknowledge that the lands were stolen from the Ohlone peoples, who have ancestral relationship with this land, the plants, the animals, and the water for millennia, continuous to the present day. Ohlone people are still here. We also recognize that the Ohlone ancestors, in spirit and of the land, are present. In solidarity with all Indigenous people and their right to self-determination and justice, we commit to to working toward accountability of the theft, disposition, and resulting trauma Native Americans continue to face. We commit to being active partners toward the healing of the intergenerational trauma which persists to this day. We encourage you to learn more about the Muwekma Ohlone peoples, and you will be able to find that by Google.
Good morning. My name is Donna Fujioka, and I'm on the Journey Toward Wholeness transformation team. First Unitarian strives to be an intentionally multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, inclusive, and anti-oppressive religious community. You are welcome here. Please complete the guest connection card at the welcome table or in the chat if you are watching on Zoom. We want to be able to support your exploration of what's available in our community that interests you and how you might participate. And now, before our worship service, Pastor Ninan has a few reminders.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Teresa Ninan Soto. I'm the lead minister here at the First Unitarian Church of Oakland, and I go by Pastor Ninan. Today's reminders. 1 week from today, on October 9th, the stewardship team invites you to join them in kicking off the 2023 stewardship campaign. I'm going to do it again. Are you ready? Did I catch you off guard? All right, here we go. To join them in kicking off the 2023 stewardship campaign. You caught up beautifully. The theme is, we are the church. Now is the time. Replanting and tending our mission. What does it mean? Stewardship means caring for and tending things and ideas that reflect our values. And the stewardship team will lead us in doing it together. Don't miss it. Contact stewardship@uuoakland.org for more info or to join the team. And since we first met, others have joined. I'm going to be really excited to introduce them to you to them. Number 2, on Saturday afternoon, October 15th, bring your imagination and playfulness to the Introduction to Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D. A multi-generational experience has been planned with character development, D&D, art, basic play, and a small group mini-campaign. That is, a D&D game. To register, contact our Director of Religious Education, Jeffrey Melcher, at familyministry@uuoakland.org. And today, 30 minutes after the end of worship, join the Journey Toward Wholeness Anti-Racism Transformation Team and me, Pastor Ninan, for the return of First Sunday Anti-Racism Discussion and Practice, which has been on summer hiatus. This will be a hybrid meeting, in person in the Star King Room and on Zoom. So if you need the Zoom link, that email went out last night, but if you didn't get it, go ahead and reply to Child's Chatter, and hopefully we can get you that link before the meeting today, but if not, we'll get you on track to get it for the future. If you'd like more information or connection, you can contact the team at jtw@uuoakland.org or speak with members Janet McFarland, Donna Fujioka, and Linda Probert-Sanford. Thank you so much, friends. And now, we will light our candles this morning. We light the peace candle today with words from Fred Rogers. Are you ready for Fred words? So take an easy breath. He says, when I say it's you I like, I'm talking about that part of you that knows that life is far more than anything you can ever see or hear or touch. That deep part of you that allows you to stand for those things without which humankind cannot survive. Love that conquers hate, peace that rises triumphant over war, and justice that proves more powerful than greed. Now, for our Black Lives Matter candle today, words come from First Lady Michelle Obama. It's up to all of us, black, white, everyone, no matter how well-meaning we think we might be, to do the honest, uncomfortable work of rooting out racism. And we light our chalice today with traditional words for all ages. If you don't know the motions, feel free to watch your neighbor and slowly learn those. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. May it remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, the power of love to heal what is broken, and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. This morning, as we worship, we'll be exploring connection. In addition, we'll be talking about the things that keep us from connection. One of our privileges as Unitarian Universalists is to respect and appreciate the traditions of others. In this period of time, our Jewish siblings and cousins celebrate Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement. Imagine the shared portion of our mission that brings forgiveness to our community, that leaves in its path peace and wholeness. The part of our mission that invites us to search our souls, sifting through the past year to see where we may have missed the mark. Searching for light to guide us toward courageous and open-hearted apology, toward the repair of relationships in our lives. May this possibility warm our hearts to offer forgiveness to those who have wronged us, allowing us to release the chains of grudge and blame that have bound us to them. May this possibility give us strength to take the actions that are within our power to make this next year more just, more loving, and more peaceful for our communities and for all of humanity. In one voice, the people said, "Come, let us worship together." We welcome Crescendo Choir this morning with "Love is Little."
Love is little, love is low, love will make my spirit grow in peace, grow in light, love will do the thing that's right.
In just a moment, we will listen to a story. But as you know, I'd like you to know what you're getting into as we approach it. This story is about what we like about ourselves. I know you might not have been prepared to talk about that this morning, but you have some time to work on it. So, as you hear the reflection, start imagining. And you know what? We're going to do a backup plan. There's a microphone down front. We'll have a chance to share some reflection together. But if you'd rather, the person sitting next to you or someone near you can be the person to say what it is that you like about yourself. So you can come in it either way. All right, are you ready? Let's do it.
I like being you, said the reflection in the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I blushed. Me? Yes, you. And by the way, you have wonderful eyes. I blinked, astonished. I do? Absolutely. They sparkle like stars on the darkest of nights. I gazed downward. Thank you. Your eyes sparkle too. Sweet of you to say. You have a marvelous voice. I gently whispered, You really think so? Of course. You sound as joyous as a songbird, whistling in the trees. And you have a magnificent smile. I sheepishly grinned. Well, Mama always says, start every day with a smile. I agree. Your smile is as bright and cheerful as the sun in the sky. And you are quite smart. I took a step towards the mirror. I do try very hard. You sure do. You're as brilliant as a rocket scientist. I like that you are friendly. I leaned in closer. It's very important to be nice, you know. It sure is. You're as peaceful as a butterfly. And you have a lot of courage. I raised my head high. I auditioned for the school play today. Outstanding. You're as brave as a lion. You're a fantastic dancer. I spread my arms wide. Watch how fast I can twirl. Around and around I went. Amazing. You're as graceful as a dolphin gliding through the sea. I plopped on the ground, giggling as the room playfully spun around. And you have a terrific laugh. Thank you very much. Your chuckle fills the air with bubbly joy. But most of all, I like your heart. Your kindness is as beautiful as a rainbow. I stood up and walked towards the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I gently pressed my hands against the glass. I like being you. We smiled in unison. I like being you too. I want to be you forever.
I want to remind you that the fact that you are perfectly perfect and can also use a little work is a universalist value. That's part of what brings us together. So now, go ahead and take a second, check in with your neighbor, listen for something that they like about themselves, and in just a few minutes, we'll take some sharing at the microphones. Are you ready? Go ahead, check in with your neighbor.
the closest thing I have to a neighbor.
I am. What do you- hope that you have determined a few things that you like about yourselves and each other. Can I have a few people come up to the microphone and share? Let's do it. People are on their way. What do you like about yourself? What does your neighbor like about themselves?
We might try to do too much.
Ready?
I'm not shy.
Donna, you're supposed to say something.
Woo! Scarth is not shy. Thank you, Scarth. Something else you like about yourself?
I am Charles, and I like that you're calm and patient in difficult situations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. One or two more. What else do you like about yourself?
My neighbor likes that he's very considerate.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. How many of you? Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Of late, I've found out that I'm pretty good at getting rid of clutter, things that I don't need.
A lot of people like that for you, John. All right, let's do a couple all together. How many of you like that you're very curious? Yeah. Right. How many of you like that you have a good sense of humor? It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's a good one. Yeah. How many of you like that you don't give up very easily. Yeah, wonderful. So remember, the fact that you are perfectly perfect is a universalist value. And there's one more layer. It is this. A lot of folks that we know and love, maybe you, I don't know, not trying to put words in your mouth, grew up in an environment where you were urged to suck it up. So here's what I want you to know. That created some good skills in making it through, but it missed a part where what happens to you matters and how you feel about it matters. So as you continue to unfold things that you like about yourself, please also consider giving yourself that additional kindness. All right, I would like you to give yourself a round of applause. And just now, we'll be greeting one another. Now, I learned a very important thing from a woman named Iman last night. Iman happened to be a drag queen, and this is what she taught me. She taught me how to say, "Yes, queen." So that's what I'm going to teach you today, and then we're going to say it, and then you're going to say hi to everybody. So take your fist like this, like you're going to say yes, and you go, "Yes, yes." And then you take your crown, and you put it on your head, queen. So, yes, queen. Now here's the thing. I don't want you to go around saying that to people unless you're invited to be in that kind of community with them. So, now we're going to say yes, queen, to everybody here. Yes, queen. All right. Remember, you're still in pandemic conditions. Give each other a safe space, consent to touch, and please greet one another this morning. Thank you so much, friends. Or as we say, yes, Queen, come back to your seat. Yes. Thank you for your wonderful friendship and hospitality to one another. In just a moment, we'll join in singing Metta Meditation, 1031 in our teal hymnal. Thank you so much, Renee.
We're going to hum it one time, 2 times, just to get the meditation part of it. So let's hum it.
This is the time in our service when we share what's on our hearts, whether it's a joy or sorrow. We continue to pray for healing for a variety of different folks connected to our congregation. Healing after surgery, healing from COVID, healing from long COVID, and much more. Today, we also hold in our care Heidi Bailey and her family in the sudden passing of Heidi's father. The viewing will be tonight for Heidi and her family. Please hold them in your care. So, please begin now by sharing just a word or two about what's on your heart. Florida folks.
Thinking about all the students who applied for FAFSA this Saturday and in the next few months, and hope that their educations get funded.
For those who are removed from Wood Street Camp and have nowhere to go.
And high school students and all students affected by gang violence.
Continue to hold the nation of Iran in your care as people seek freedom, struggle for peace. This week there was also a shooting in San Bernardino of a person who was the subject of an Amber Alert. For these things and many other things, we hold them in our care. In a moment, you'll see the words on the screen. We'll say them together. Let's say these together. We hold them in our care. And now, if you'll take an easy breath or two with me. In these days of reflection, our thoughts turn inward. Who am I? How will I be? How will my living further a sacred love? As a congregation, we gather our hearts. We ask these questions. We ask again, how have my actions affected other people? When I have caused pain to another, in what way will I make amends? In our community, we ask, we turn, we ask again. How shall I live with the discomfort of responsibility? How shall I forgive others? How shall I forgive myself? We ask, we turn, and we ask again. In the turning and in the asking, we find a deeper truth and a greater love. It is a sacred love. And to this love, once more and again, we turn. Take an easy breath. Imagine that you are the one who can forgive part of the burden you are holding. Thus we turn, and thus we begin again in love. Amen. In just a moment, we will have the crescendo choir sing with us. We begin again in love. These will be all the verses, also in part for the memory of Reverend Rob Eller Isaacs, who wrote these beautiful words to share with the Unitarian Universalist movement.
For those of you who don't know, Rob Eller Isaacs was the minister of this congregation for 18 years. And he wrote these words when he was the minister here. And we did them many, many Sundays with each other during Yom Kippur. Renee is going to play the refrain. And I'll be saying some words. And you are more than welcome to join the choir in the refrain between the statements that I make. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other.
for falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
In just a moment, Donna Fujioka will come and share about widening the circle of concern and the Commission on Institutional Change. One way that fits into our bigger picture is that the Commission on Institutional Change returned to the mission of anti-racism and anti-oppression and Unitarian Universalism, took stock and said, what does this mean right now? So I hope that lens will serve you as you listen to Donna. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Pastor Ninan. So the following passages are from the UUA's Commission on Institutional Change's report, Widening the Circle of Concern, and includes quotes attributed to the Reverend Dr. Sofia Betancourt and Reverend Dr. Elias Ortega. This is not a summary or Cliff's Notes, only insights that I found valuable. It's a worthwhile read, and the entire report can be found on the uua.org website. From Widening the Circle of Concern. We need to put greater emphasis on what it means to be bound to one another in an interdependent web and in keeping with our covenantal tradition. A greater emphasis on the theological basis for our work on diversity, equity, and inclusion will help us to make decisions about the forms of this work most appropriate for our individual and shared faith lives. Change, agility, and innovation are needed for Unitarian Universalism to survive. The culture of many congregations is not keeping pace with the expectations of new generations for anti-oppression practices. We believe that for Unitarian Universalism to survive as a faith movement, we must have reform at the congregational level. This will be some of our hardest work. Those who have long been entrenched in our congregations believe that this kind of work is not useful, is simply a form of political correctness, or is not a form of value for them. Longtime congregational leaders may not see the patterns of white privilege, institutional racism, and other oppressions that can be present in our congregations, and they may not see the ways that a changing world is asking that Unitarian Universalism be accountable to all the diversity of people in our congregations and communities. Our inclusive, pluralistic principles allow individuals to find their own paths to truth within our Unitarian Universalist frame. Yet often, individuals do not see that our faith community is held together by a set of common communal values. When individualism is not in balance with communal good, individualism can become toxic to our religious community. If we wish to preserve Unitarian, Universalist, and Unitarian Universalist traditions, our conversations and research suggest that our congregations must center themselves in the communal and covenantal and not primarily the comfort and familiarity of the social club. One barrier to doing anti-oppression work can be shame and the expectation that the goal is to make people feel guilty. In fact, the goal is to allow people to change, and guilt is not an effective agent for change. The nature of history and facts make it easy to center an approach on what has actually happened. Shame is never the goal of anti-racism work, and it is a frequent byproduct because of conditioning and a mastery culture that one is supposed to be learned, not learning. The antidote isn't to avoid anti-racism work. The antidote is to train people to see that oppression happens at the personal and interpersonal levels and at the systemic and cultural levels. People are taught to be biased and to privilege the experience of the white race over others. To undo this, people can engage their free and responsible search for truth and meaning in the work of self-discovery and learning about the systemic efforts of oppression. The values of Unitarian Universalism cannot be realized in a system that is centered around one cultural expression. Younger generations expect multicultural competency, are wary of institutions that lack authenticity with their values, and expect more participatory models of shared leadership. Our first principle calls us to learn a language of resilience and liberation in response to the pain of this world we have inherited, so that we might find wholeness and grace in our brokenness. A universalist theology of liberation in the present day centers our capacity to be sanctuaries of radical truth-telling and abundant compassion, so that the all-embracing love at the center of our tradition can serve to make all of us more whole. If we believe in collective salvation, we must also believe in collective sacrifice. Claiming what is meant to be sacred in personal sacrifice without the power of we is the very thing that desecrates the practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Now we'll sing all people who come gather here. It's to the same tune as all people that on the earth do dwell. Christofalo to come share with us. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks. So I recently attended the JTW Jubilee 3 weekend. I was asked to share a little bit about it. As a preface, my anti-racism journey in this part of my life started about 7 or 8 years ago when, during Rev. Jacqueline's ministry, and she was our first black minister in the history of this congregation, Heather McLeod, I think I see Heather back there, but I can't tell with masks. Heather asked me to take Beloved Conversations, another format for anti-racism reflection and training. And that period also coincided with White Fragility, the book White Fragility coming out. It's since then that I've been learning more about the deeper, subliminally programmed racism in me, which when I'm aware of it, it disturbs me, isn't congruent with my values, and sets the tone for what I need to learn and do. What's come of this is a resolve to be the best possible white ally to people of color that I can be, keeping in mind that people of color don't have the choice to opt out of dealing with racism. The main format enabling me to do the work on this has been reading and our very own First Sundays, of which there will be one today, our anti-racism gatherings. So enter Jubilee 3. Recently, 5 of us holed up in the Star King room over a long weekend for a total of 21 hours, 12 hours on Saturday alone, to take up and take on race and racism. Not knowing what rigors we were about to go through, it was great to see Janet, Donna, and George at the front door. I've known them for 25 years, and later to enjoy meeting Penny. That was the 5 of us. What happened there? Guidance, lots of concise history about how racism became systemic through layers of legislation in the early history of this country, perspectives from people of color on difficult and positive experiences, vignettes, people stating the challenges they go through, perspective and feedback on missing the mark, hearing about efforts that are being made and will be made from people present at that weekend, from UU congregations on the West Coast, Northwest, Hawaii, and there were even a few people from the Midwest. One important catalyst for me is breakout rooms. I am face to face with another person conscious of differences, and I need to reach down and speak from a personal point of view, grapple with a question or a dilemma, choose to bring forward a vulnerability, in this case, all focused around racism. This was a weekend class, but the breakout rooms are really the lab, is the way I look at it. We've always done plenty of breakout rooms in First Sundays, and I've always found them scary and helpful. It's the personal discussion that has a lot of impact on me. And the five of us were actually a full-time, informal breakout room throughout the weekend, churning things over. It was an anti-racism intensive workout, basically. And right here I want to plug Sherry Weston's book, our own Sherry Weston, American-born foreigner, based on her experiences of being biracial and multicultural. It is an anti-racism intensive workout. A memory came to me after the weekend with more clarity. During Rev. Jacqueline's time here, she and I had a fondness between us, and at one point I realized this is the first time I've ever been loved by a black person. This really turned my head around. My first reaction was, wait a minute. As a white person, I'm supposed to be equalizing for all the harm that's come to you because of your race. Instead, this realization helped me remove the automatic distance I create when encountering black people, people of color, and instead I want to be more engaged, present, enjoying the moment together. The most powerful moment of the weekend happened for me at the exact end. All of the 40 or 50 of us had just shared briefly how the weekend had been for us, a little bit each of us said about that. Paula Cole Jones, who led the weekend, then asked her tech person, a 20-something young black woman, also to share. She had just been behind the scenes getting all the correct slides and handouts up, and we hadn't seen her before. She said she never knew there was a group of white people anywhere working for her benefit, and shared in very warm and vivid terms how good this felt for her. That made the 21 hours and anything else I've been doing worth it right there. As we sang earlier, love will do the thing that's right. Love will make the spirit grow.
Let's just sit a moment with Joe's words. So much is possible. Sometimes people have a curious question for me. It's something like, Reverend Soto, if you really think I'm perfectly perfect, why do I have to work on my anti-racism? I'm not hearing you guys' answers, but I can hear that they're good. All right, so let me tell you how this helps us. It helps us think about it because anti-racism is not something you beat. Like, you exist as a human, but you don't exist as a racist or an anti-racist. Those are choices based on your thoughts. So action is different from being. That's the very first important thing I want us to think about. Here's the second. Reverend Soto, if you really think I'm perfectly perfect, why do I have to work on my anti-racism? Babe, you don't have to. You don't have to. You're not forced, you're not cajoled, you're not controlled. You are continuously invited. And what I want you to remember is this. It's not a real invitation if yes and no are not both equally good answers. That's a manipulation, that's a coercion, that's a something else that we are not doing here. But when you're invited, and you're invited over and over, it is to a larger purpose. Desmond Tutu was a bishop in South Africa who won the Nobel Peace Prize for his work against apartheid. In his book, No Future Without Forgiveness, he shared stories and insights from leadership in South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission. What am I about to do? I'm about to talk to you about somebody else so that you can apply their lessons to yourself. South Africa had been plagued for generations by terrible violence between the white ruling minority and the black majority. Once the whites relinquished power and Nelson Mandela became president, the question in need of an answer was clear. How does a country with so much pain and violence and division in its past move forward? Does that sound like a useful question to you? Mm-hmm. People formed the Truth and Reconciliation Commission as that way forward. So one of the things I want you to take from this moment is that the way forward is not by feeling differently. It's by making choices that you employ in your actions. The goal was for those who had committed atrocities in the past to come forward and tell the truth, both blacks and whites. But it didn't end there. After confessing the truth, the goal was to bring reconciliation. What does that mean, reconciliation? It's the moment in the Hallmark movie, after all the up and down and back and forth, when they get on the same page. In our popular culture, it's a kiss. The kiss is not a victory. The kiss is only getting on the same page. And I wanted to leave you with that particular evolution of story because you'll hear it from all over. If it's not perfect, it's not worth it. It's supposed to be easy. Why do I have to? You'll hear a lot of reasons why you don't have to come to this conversation. But what those reasons don't have inside them is that moment of getting on the same page, that moment of forgiveness, to break the cycle of hate so that, in that case, an entire country could move forward. In one chapter of the book, Tutu recounts testimony after testimony of people, both black and white, who came before the commission to confess to torturing and murdering others. It was horrific. Terrible stories in graphic detail. It's almost impossible to believe that human beings are capable of such evil. Sometimes. Other times, the evil is laid out before us, and our task is by whatever means possible to interrupt it. But the horrors of the crimes make one particular story important for us to consider. Two people who came before the commission were Mrs. Kalata and her daughter. Mrs. Kalata's husband had been an advocate for Black South Africans in rural communities. Because of his work, he'd been arrested and detained and tortured by police numerous times. But one day, he disappeared. Last week, we talked about the things that we would prefer to act as though we do not know. And that's a pin in this story right here. It's not actually appropriate for us to suppose that this kind of violence by police doesn't happen in our very own community. But that day, on the front of the newspaper, Mrs. Kalata saw a photograph of her husband's car on fire. She cried so loudly during the hearing, describing the autopsy report, that the commission had to be adjourned. When they reconvened, Mrs. Kalata's daughter testified. Years had gone by, and she was now a young lady. She pleaded with the commission to discover who had killed her father. But she was not crying out because she wanted vengeance or justice. Instead, she said to the commission, "We want to forgive, but we don't know whom to forgive. We want to forgive, but we don't know whom to forgive." As we are called into deep reflection on forgiveness, we now come full circle. You heard Donna mention that the practice of individualism undercuts everything that's possible, especially as we hold it out of balance. When it comes to forgiveness, the same is true. You start with yourself. With the things that you know and love about yourself, you also forgive yourself. But if you stop there, you've shortchanged the entire possibility of healing and connection that exists. Eventually, members of the police confessed to the crime. Rather than continue cycles of hatred, Mrs. Kalata and her daughter forgave the men because that was their possibility, and that was the choice that they made to live into. Does forgiveness mean we don't care about justice? What do you think? Some people think not. It doesn't mean that. Does forgiveness mean there's no consequence for evil? No. What it means is that we leave justice and vengeance out of our choices. Other justice is always available. Our job as agents of the beloved community is to break cycles of hate, to move from being a people of exclusion to a people of embrace, forgiving others just as we have been forgiven. Has anyone ever forgiven you in your life? No? If they haven't, you come to me and we will work it out. Just as we are creators, just as we are givers, just as we give one to another the possibility of full healing and deep peace. In these days, much is possible. Reverend Soto, if I'm perfectly perfect, why do I have to work on anti-racism? Babe, you don't. But you are invited to the possibility of forgiving yourself, moving forward in power and clarity, and creating relationships of wholeness and peace. So may we live. Amen. I'd like to invite Janet to lead us in our invitation of generosity.
Okay, do we have two people who can get a basket from the back and to hand around? Thank you so much. I see one. We need another person who can do that job. I was imagining this room filled by a giant, water wheel, right? And it's as tall as the ceiling. It's a really big water wheel. And that each of us has a bucket, right, of water from our well, our personal well, which is our time, our talent, our treasure. And may we bring our bucket and pour it on that water wheel so it may turn for the greater good of our community and for us all. May the ushers please come forward. Okay, can we say our congregational commitment together? To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community, we dedicate ourselves unto these our offerings.
We have in our lives been forgiven. We have in our lives given forgiveness. And with this, we move a little freer along the path of courtesy and kindness. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection. Our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, to the world, and to our movement continues until we are together again. Friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. Go in peace, practice love, return, enjoy. Oh, you know what? I need to say one more thing. My apologies. Right, 30 minutes after we're finished here, we'll join on Zoom and we'll be together for the first Sunday. So that will be after this. Thank you, everyone. I hope to see you there.